is your most memorable interaction with a fan?
With a fan? Probably 2 years ago. I raced in the Gold Cup and Saucer for the first time, and it was me, Mark, and Anthony were all in it. It's the first time three brothers were ever in it, and they asked us to go up the day before, and it was like a big thing. It was in the news, in the paper, and PEI racing's huge, so just to be in the Gold Cup was big. To be racing it with Anthony and Mark was pretty special, and they had us, signing autographs and doing this. It was pretty cool.
There was one lady at Old Greenwood there that kind of got on my case there a bit. Like I used to drive a lot of false favorites then, people liked what I was doing, and they'd be betting on them, and they shouldn't really be favorites, but they were, and then they would get beat, because they were false favorites. And I had this lady, she used to be over by the fence screaming at me all the time, and I used to say to her, "Stick with me, baby, I'll bail you out, just stick with me." So later on the night, you'd get lucky and win a couple or three in a row. Now she's over there wanting to adopt you, So I said, "I told you, just stick with me."
Probably when I had a little kid come out of the hospital that was suffering cancer, and we had a deal here, and he come into the winning circle with me.
You get a lot over Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, but Sydney Weaver there, she follows the racing around a lot, so it's pretty cool. She really loves it, and it kind of makes her day, when you talk to her and stuff like that. So I like talking to her.
When I was training Jetlog used to stand at the on the racetrack when he first hit the racetrack. He would stand there all day if you let him. And one day I was walking on the track at Harrington, and there was an little old couple standing on the rail. And as we walked onto the track, he stopped, and the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem, started, and they looked at each other and said, "Oh, look what she taught him to do." I had nothing to do with it, but I had to stand through the whole national anthem.
Well, back at the Greenwood days, they were great because the people were right there, and a lot of guys just, you'd stop and talk to them, but there was lots of times it wasn't very friendly, and there was numerous threats, and I got hit with a beer bottle one night. That would probably be the top of the list, but on the whole, Greenwood was great because the people were right there, and there was lots of time to sit and chat with them and spend a lot of time with them, and they had a lot of interest in the game back then.
Well, there was one in Edmonton here when I used to drive. It didn't matter where I finished. If I won, he was mad. If I finished last, he was mad. So I wasn't really sure what his point of view was.
Probably Facebook chat along the line somewhere. In this business, I'm surprised how many people actually know my name and follow my horses. A fellow from down in the States just messaged me the other day saying that he loves watching my horses race and loves following them, and I couldn't even, I love following the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Blue Jays, and this guy loves following me, so I don't know, it's kind of cool when you hear stuff like that.
It's not a fan in particular. It's one day I was here and I was giving out vouchers, and we just had a great time with all the fans coming in, and we had to we got to talk to them, and it was really a fun day to do.
Win a race in Barrie, and had a young kid was there with his mom and dad. It was his birthday, and brought him out for the win picture.
I've had some memorable ones at Greenwood when the fans were trying to climb over the fence when they thought you drove bad. I don't think any that I could say on tape. There was a few nasty words.
I interact with all the fans here, and they're usually great. But when I started driving, I actually got my license in Montreal, and I was driving at a little racetrack in Elmer called Connaught Park. And I'd driven a horse quite poorly. I know, it's hard to believe. I drove the horse quite badly. And this little old French lady came down to the fence, and I'm mad at myself because I'd only driven one or two horses, a day at the time, and I'm coming back. I thought she was going to say something nice in French. No, she did not. "You suck, MacDonald!" That's all I heard.
Probably in Charlottetown a few years ago when we went for the driving Canadian Driving Championship there. I've never seen so many fans. They really love their horses and their racing over there, and we had a great time with fans. And I always want to come back. I go back there, and maybe next year I'll try to go back.
Probably back in Illinois. Back in Illinois when I raced at Sportsman's Park and I worked for Brian Penske, the fan base there was tremendous. They had an outside grandstand where everybody sat out, and just to hear the the interaction with all the drivers, and they would always holler back at us when we were coming back after the race. You know, I wish we had some of that back, because it was just a tremendous place to watch a race. And back then I was driving horses for Byron, so when I'd come back after the race and have the fans hollering, you know, when you did a good job or they bet you, they'd holler at you, I bet you, you know, so that was a lot of fun. I miss those times at Sportsman's Park.
Oh, I've always enjoyed them congratulating you over the fence. You never get tired of that.
Usually when there's like kids in the winter circle and stuff, like younger kids, I like, you know, give them my whip or something like that.
Probably the first time I was ever asked for my autograph, because I didn't really get the big deal of that, who wanted my autograph. But the little guy that came up to me kind of made my day and put a big smile on my face for a while. That was pretty cool.
I don't know if anybody knows this, they probably don't, but I have a fan club on Facebook. So the girl's actually from just outside of Grand River, and she's at the racetrack there every night I'm there, and she's always at the fence. And the first race I won this year that she was there, that she's seen in Grand River, at the winter circle, you always just walk back to the barn, to the paddock. So she was at the fence and she called me over and I seen her, and she came right up to the fence and she gave me a cookie. So you know, that was kind of out of the blue, but it was great. I got a cookie, and I happened to win the very next race after that too, and I called her out for the winter circle to come for a picture. So that was pretty cool.
My buddy from Windsor, he's in a wheelchair. He comes up, always comes to the North America Cup with his family, and he's a great kid and loves harness racing and loves the drivers, and I have all the time in the world for him.
We went to golf into a tournament one time, and my oldest boy was with me, but he was only like about 9 years old. And we went into the pro shop and had to rent him some clubs because he didn't have any. And you know, the guy just happened to look at me and say, "You're John Burns, aren't you?" And my son said after, he said, "Holy geez, Dad, that guy knew who you were."
I've had a few. One where they called our driver the wrong name there one time. It was pretty fun. We had a horse fall down in Hazel Park one time, post-braiding, and Terry Fritz was driving it, and come out in the program. Tom Fritz was the driver, and this big fella yelled at me. He says, "Hey Tom, you should get your brother Terry to drive him. He gets along with him a lot better."
The best interaction, you know, when I won the jug and going around the track, that was all the fans mixed in together, and everybody's so excited that you won it, and everyone's happy for you, and that was a great interaction. And at the same time, this little 10-year-old kid was screaming for my whip, and I was told that I have to keep it for Roger Houston, but I mean, he was too cute. I had to give it to him, and he ran on the track, and that was a good moment.
Years ago, I had this kid. He was dying of bone cancer, and he always was at Hanover, and he liked me in that, and we went and done a golf tournament with him. That was pretty special.
Probably at a hockey game, somebody asked me for an autograph, which I thought was, I thought they were playing a joke on me, but it turned out that they weren't playing a joke, but it was pretty nice to have that.
It was a lot of fans. We were in Montreal, and I won a driver's challenge there at the Hippodrome, and there was, I don't know, a lot of people there that day, and it was just, they were very nice to me before I'd even won the race, and it was just an overwhelming day. A lot of fun.
The old Greenwood racetrack, when we had to cross over the public path when the fans were going to the grandstand, and some of the fans became unruly a couple times, especially after a race, and there were some tense situations there a couple times.
I had a guy call me a no-driving idiot in Toronto, one race, and the next race I went out and win, and that same guy said, "I bet a lot of money on you in that one, Greg, good job." So
when I was driving, I had the favourite, and he raced bad, and I can remember a fan almost halfway out on the track hollering at me, must have horse bet, and I could see him like he was halfway out on the track back home hollering, and that's something I didn't forget.
Well, I've had a few fans hollering bad things at me, but there's been a couple of kids in Hanover that always wave and say hi, so I like interacting with the kids and not waving to them or just speaking to them. It kind of makes their day, it seems like.
I always like the young kids, you know, that come up and stuff like that, ask you different questions, or, you know, an autograph or something like that. You feel stupid that you're asking you for an autograph, but it's cool that people look up to, you know, people in the industry and stuff like that, or, you know, they love calling races, or they love coming out and seeing horses race. So yeah, any kid that comes up to you.
There was a ton of them when we had beach. You know, we had people just wanting any part of, you know, whips, gloves. I really found it neat when we were at the Red Mile, and the Amish kids just wanted to surround beach at all times. and you know, that's how far he reached.
Probably, you know, winning some stakes in Calgary and having my friends there and having them, you know, really happy for me, and just I like fans that are appreciative of a horse's performance, and that's probably. I had a horse named In Arm's Way who wasn't supposed to win, and it was just out of sheer guts on his part that he did it. And I think the people there appreciated the fact that he did it, and I appreciated them appreciating it, right? So that's probably my best interaction with fans.
I remember one time winning a race, and I was presented with a gift basket for it. As I was walking by, there was a young fan leaning over the fence, and there was a ball cap from Grand River Raceway, and I stuck it on his head, and he smiled and seemed pretty happy with it.
No one in particular, but I like when I win races, and you know, the kids always ask for my whip. It's so hard to say no. I don't like saying no, but I always give it one, and then I'm always running upstairs in the next race to try and grab a new one, just because I don't like saying I'm going to come back just in case I forget. So I always like giving kids a whip or whatever they need, just so you know they're here to have fun.
I probably haven't had as much interaction as maybe the young drivers and stuff of today, but I've done a little driving myself, and just talking to a couple fans after a nice win and doing a good interview like this is always great for me.
All 3 Maple Leaf Trot nights, you know, just the crowd and interacting with, you know, possibly 100 people, just the hugs and handshakes and the excitement, it was a big deal.